Welcome back to NB Media and Content. Today I'll be featuring a 1971 Mercedes-Benz 280S, known as the W108. In the late 60s and early 70s, this was the equivalent of an S-Class limousine. And when this model was new, it would have set you back just a little bit over 10,000 Australian dollars, which back in the 70s, that was the amount of an average house. And this didn't have any competition in Australia. However, in America, the W108 would have competed with things like Cadillac or Lincoln. And I do believe this model series represents the beginning of the golden age for Mercedes-Benz quality. And to explain why, I'm going to give you a brief overview of its history. I'm also going to talk about the model grades, the exterior design, interior features, have a look at the powertrain, how much it will cost to own, and then I'm going to drive it. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick, and if you like content like this, please give it a like, share and subscribe. Let's now talk about a brief overview about the W108. It was in production from 1965 to 1972, replacing the W111 fin tail. And the W108 was available in standard short wheelbase or the long wheelbase known as the W109. In terms of powertrains, there was a choice of carburetor and fuel-injected engines. And the W108 featured crumple zones, all-round disc brakes, special door locks, and certain models came with air ride suspension. You may have also seen the 108 series in certain movie appearances like James Bond's Octopussy and The Driver, featuring Ryan O'Neal. And then in 1972, the W116 replaced the W108, which was the very first Mercedes-Benz to use the S-Class nameplate. So now I'll talk about the design. So the W108 was designed by Frenchman Paul Brack, and in my opinion, it's a very elegant design, very timeless. You have halogen Bosch headlights. They are a stacked design, so 4 circles in the center, along with fog lights and a big, large radiator grille with a Mercedes-Benz emblem on the top, chrome on top of the bonnet here. It also features these big chrome bumper bars with the rubber edges. And moving towards the side view of the 108, it features a single reversing mirror along with chrome around the window sills and 14-inch alloy wheels with the original Mercedes-Benz hubcaps, and all 4 wheels are wrapped in white wall tires. It's also really nice to see it has its original registration sticker. And if we move towards the rear design of the 108, it features more chrome highlights around the window edges, as well as large chrome rear bumpers, additional chrome along the boot edge, rear halogen lights, a 280S badge on the left hand corner, and lastly there is a secret compartment behind this flap here. So open this up and this is where you would find the fuel cap to fill up the car with fuel. Before you climb inside the 108, no central locking, just traditional door locks. And once you're inside the cabin, the design layout, it's very 1960s Mercedes, very basic compared to a modern day S-Class, but it does feel like a very nice place to be in. And in terms of quality, it feels very robust, so even the door slam. And the dashboard materials feel very solid. You have some wood grain on the top here, as well as some wood grain in the center, and all of this is real timber. You've also got some timber along the window sill as well, MB Tex on the roof lining, and the MB Tex door cards. And to get comfortable, these are sprung seats, so they're very bouncy. They are an MB Tex material, finished in this red. The seats themselves do recline on this metal mechanism, and you do have retractable center armrests, so you can lift them up, revealing additional storage on the bottom. Right in front of me, a huge steering wheel with a deformable steering column. This metal bar is your horn, and you've also got some MB Tex material here. And right in front of me is an analog gauge cluster, showing the speed in miles per hour, the temperature, fuel gauge, and oil pressure. And on request as options, you could get electric windows, a power sliding sunroof, power steering, air conditioning, headrests, and in the center, the optional Becker Mexico FM and AM cassette player. And this switchgear up the top here are your heater controls, so you do have 2 air vents on either side that blow out hot air, and you could get air conditioning as a factory option. In terms of transmissions, 108s came standard with a manual column shift, and as an option you could get an automatic column shift, or you can get a floor shift automatic, and those examples are very desirable. However, the manual floor shift, which this example is fitted with, manual floor shifts were a very rare option, especially on Australian delivered vehicles. And it's a very nice transmission, nice smooth shifts, and the clutch is nice and light. You have a glove box here, and an ashtray with a cigarette socket, along with pockets on the doors. And moving towards the back seats, there is loads of space back here. Got good knee room, loads of toe room, and loads of headroom, plus an ashtray, windy up windows, and an armrest that folds out like that, including this large grab handle and the original seat belts. And if we have a look at the boot, You just push this button and lift up the boot lid and it reveals a large space. There's plenty of room back there for a few suitcases going away. Towards the back there is an aftermarket air conditioning system, but in terms of the car's originality, it does feature its original first aid kit, warning triangle, the toolkit, along with its tyre monitor gauge, factory spare tyre, and even all of its original logbooks, factory literature, service history, the technical data sheets. But what I find interesting is the owner's manual. Obviously it tells you basic information, how to operate the lights, door locks, the radio, just like in any other car. But as this was a car that you kept for life rather than the warranty period, it tells you how to service the car correctly. So for example, checking the oil, checking the water levels, all the hose connections, how to check the water pump operation, the fan belt and tensioner pulleys, and even check the cylinder head gasket if there is likely to be water in the crankcase. You'd even refurbish parts like the radiator, so you would send it off to Mercedes-Benz to have it boiled out and restored. Let's now move on to the powertrain. So there's a tab on the right hand corner, just lift that up, and under the bonnet the 280S is powered by the M130 920 engine. It develops 103 kilowatts and 224 newton meters of torque with fuel fed by the twin carburetors, and it drives the rear wheels via 4-speed manual transmission. In terms of the 108's architecture, it is a floor frame unit welded to the body, so essentially this is a body on frame construction. And in terms of maintenance, most of the components have been either restored or refurbished rather than replaced. From what I've been told by the owners, they don't really cost that much to maintain. So with the specifications out of the way, let's see how it performs on the road. The thing you need to get used to is the miles per hour over kilometers per hour.
That's correct.
Once you master that, it's pretty easy to drive every day. It's one of the very few classic cars you can drive as a daily.
Oh, certainly. Like, if you choose to drive as a daily driver, this car certainly can fulfill. These cars are designed bulletproof. They're designed to be invincible if you look after it.
There is a lot of wind noise around the cabin.
There is naturally, these there are rubber seals which sort of are not as airtight proof as the modern cars are. Nick, as you can appreciate, this is 50-year-old car. I mean, the technology back in the days if you were to compare to modern cars, it's chalk and cheese.
But the sprung seats give you a lot of support. You can definitely drive this car for hours on end. It was designed for the Autobahn, and
definitely.
It sits on the road flat.
This car is well capable to handle, that sort of RPMs and going on a straight line.
So this has the recirculating ball steering set up with the power steering box.
Correct.
Okay. At least it does have modern features, power steering, disc brakes. It's really light too, like just changing gears, and there's no rev counter. You actually have to listen out for your revs.
That's correct.
So you have to really get to know the car. It does have good power.
It surely does, yeah.
And it's got good steering too. Like, you do have a good sense of what the front wheels are doing. Good all-round visibility too. You've only got that single mirror for your blind spot. So, but apart from that, it's pretty much normal.
No, definitely, it has a very good clearance, visibility, I should say. To keep this car in a healthy condition is, it has to be driven consistently, even for a short distance, but it must be at least started once a week, so that engine's rotating and the oils are mixed. Nick, so ever since I bought the car, I have taken it to Joe Simons of Vestar Auto.
Okay.
It's very knowledgeable when it comes down to 108s, or matter of fact, any Mercedes. He's looked after this car, and ever since I bought the car and getting serviced through him, the car has gone better and better after every service. So the car is what you're driving today is because of his assistance and help. A bit of surgery. It took me about 6 months to find this car, and I drove it. The car was solid, squared, everything was straight. There was no rust, there were no oil leaks or anything like that, but it still needed a little bit of mechanical work.
Apart from regular oil changes, what other things would you look for buying a second-hand 108? Obviously there's rust, finding one that is Australian delivered. What would you look for?
Look, most definitely the rust is one thing, and the second thing is how well it runs, whether there are oil leaks, how the transmission responding, how the throttle, how the brakes, like in a general drive of the car, and how the car is sort of talking back to you. I mean, that's the first thing I look for. And there's mechanical stuff which you can fix it up, but when it comes down to rust, it becomes a very costly...
It's a restoration after
it becomes
that.
a very costly restoration. Considering these cars are old, and you know, to find the parts is getting harder and harder every single day.
From what I can experience, it does get very hot quickly with the engine temperature.
And therefore you have the quarter windows, like, you know, that was the...
Oh, that does make a difference.
It certainly, it's a very smart mechanism, like, you know, from getting the fresh air.
That is clever.
Circulating in the cabin.
And it's not noisy as well.
Definitely not.
So with my short driving impressions out of the way, what is my final verdict? It has a timeless design, flawless build quality and engineering achievements, and being optioned with the very rare manual transmission, the driving experience is much more engaging. So I hope you enjoyed the film. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.